Sure.
Ah,
Sorry about
it's okay.
I'm late because I was with my nephew. I was
Okay.
my nephew. Can
Okay.
you hear me? Can you
Yes,
hear me?
I can hear you very
Oh,
well. I can hear you very well. Can you?
thank you,
Good, good. I am happy to have you, Pedro.
thank you, teacher.
So,
I'm happy to be here. I'm happy.
like, wonderful. Me too. I'm very happy, Pedro. All right. So, again, I'm happy to have you and to begin this wonderful adventure with you. And following our discussion and conversation the other day, uh, I have the understanding that you're well grounded in English. You have a very good uh, a good mastery of the
Yeah.
language, and so
Yes. Because I like to study. I like to study English. I like to study um, things like history, like philosophy, and etc. I like to study.
wonderful, good. And what's your highest level of education, Pedro?
My education.
Yeah,
Um, I'm the I'm the last year in my school at school. I'm the last year.
last year. It
So
is. Are you in? Are you in high school?
no,
Are
no.
you okay?
Um,
Univer- Oh, you're
middle
in middle.
school.
You're in middle school. Oh, great. That's good. So,
So this year I will finish the middle school.
yes.
So in the next year I I want to go to the high school.
Okay. Wonderful. And your plan, as I understand, is after your high school, you want to go study abroad. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I
Wonderful.
want to study abroad.
Wonderful. Okay. And you plan to take an IELTS exam that will prepare you for such an adventure. Is that
Yes.
okay?
Or the IELTS.
Yes, yes. All right. So, how well do you know, or how well have you heard about the IELTS exam? How much do you know about it?
How much? I think I um almost nothing because uh, I'm I'm beginner to I start to study about the exam
Okay.
and unless last month last month.
Okay. All right. Let us go straight to the point. I'm going to share my screen with you with an initial lesson that I have prepared for today. So today is just going to be
Okay.
an an introduction to the IELTS exam. I'm going to give you an overview of what the exam looks like, and then we're going to have a short, maybe 10 to 15 minutes of practice lessons on the IELTS exam, and then we can schedule other meetings and other classes in the future, in the near future, or in the days ahead.
May I take a pencil and a paper?
Yes, a personal paper will be very good. Thank you very much for reminding.
Okay.
Good. All right, I'm going to share my screen with you, okay?
Okay, teacher.
Good,
Let's go.
good. Um, all right, there we go. Just hold on a minute. Okay, it is refreshing, and that's done. So, usually I begin my class with some welcoming. Okay, we've done that already. Okay, so to begin again, I'm just going to fulfill that obligation. Welcome to my class. I am Teacher Kennedy. Okay, so feel free to call me
Okay,
Kennedy if you,
teacher.
yeah, feel free to call me Kennedy if you want. And it,
I
what's your,
may may I call you by Mr. Kennedy?
You're welcome to call me Mr. Kennedy. That'll be fine. All right. I guess your name is Pedro Constantino. Is that
Yes,
Pedro Constantino? And you're from Brazil. Am I
yes,
right?
I'm from Brazil.
And which town do you live in Brazil?
What?
Which
I
town?
don't understand your
Okay.
word.
Which town? Which town do you live in Brazil?
I live in a small city called Bataguaçu in state of Mato Grosso do Sul. I live because Brazil, you know, Brazil has states.
Uh
It
huh.
is like USA.
Okay. It's got several states, like in the USA. Okay. Okay. Good. Um, and if I also understand from reading your web talk profile, you are a baker. Do you work in a bakery?
Yes, I work at a baker.
At Victory Bakery.
Yes, Victor Baker
So tell me,
in
Pedro,
Brazil.
what kind of things do you
In Brazil,
bake?
uh, uh, at a baker, I I make breads. I bake breads. I make breads.
Uh-huh.
I
Okay.
I do. I wash the dishes. Um, I receive the money. I sell the stuffs and the food. You know,
You do quite a lot, huh?
almost all the things. All
Yeah,
the things.
everything. You do everything.
Yes, everything.
Okay, good. All right. I am a teacher. All I do is teaching. I love teaching. I have been teaching for over 7 years, and I have a
I want to be a teacher one day.
really.
I will try to. Yes,
Ah,
yes, I want to be a teacher
well,
because
that is a noble thing to do. You want to share knowledge with people. It's a noble
for
thing
me
to do.
it's a wonderful job. It's like for you
Mhm.
are helping kids to be better to
Exactly.
in the future too.
Exactly. You're building people and you're impacting people's lives with meaningful knowledge that will help them to make some significant progress in life. That is the work of an educator, which is very noble. All right, it's a good dream. All right, so let's go straight here. What can you see on the screen? Can you read what you see on the screen? I want to be sure that I am sharing my screen with you perfectly.
IELTS
Okay,
International English Language Testing System.
wonderful, wonderful, good. And what do you read here?
General overview with
Gen-
focus on listening.
Good. General overview. Can you repeat that?
Overview,
Overview.
overview,
General overview.
overview.
Overview. Over.
Like view
Yeah,
or view.
view. Very good. Very good. Okay.
Overview.
Good. Very good. So we just defined what IELTS is, right? What does I stand for you? And we've seen that IELTS it's the International English Language Testing System. Okay,
Yes.
that's what it means. And so, what are you taking the IELTS exam for? I already understand
Uh,
from what you told me that you want to study abroad. Okay, so people
yes,
t-
that is
people
a verb.
people take the IELTS exam for different purposes. Some people take the IELTS exam because they want to immigrate, they want to travel to some other country, either for work purposes or to stay there or for different things. Others, like in your case, take the IELTS exam because they want to go study abroad. And sometimes the countries where they want to go,
Yeah, I want to study at Rust because it's my dream, and
yeah,
for me have a better condition, a better, you understand, because it it is a little difficult in my country
Mm-hmm.
to it is this. You understand, teacher?
Yeah, it's a little difficult in your country to further your education, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yes,
Okay, so you want to go study abroad where you can have access to a better advanced education. Is that?
yes.
Okay, good. Wonderful. So, basically, the IELTS exam is a test for four skills. People who take the IELTS exam are going to be tested for four skills. And these four skills include listening skills, okay, reading skills, writing skills, and speaking skills. So for all the people all over the world in any country, when they go in to sit for an IELTS exam, these are the four main skills that the testing companies are looking out for. They want to ensure that you have good listening skills, that you have good reading skills, good writing skills, and good speaking skills, right? And now we want to find out about the countries where the IELTS exam needs uh, preparation for. You want to go to certain countries where English is the mother tongue, then you want to make sure that you prepare for your IELTS exam to have access to those countries. So IELTS test is required for non-native English speakers who want to travel to countries where English is their mother tongue or at least the official language in those countries. Can you name some of the countries where English language is the official language or the mother tongue?
Um, uh, read the name of the countries.
Yes, yes.
Okay, and the first it is United Kingdom.
United
United
Kingdom.
Kingdom.
Yes.
And the second it is Canada.
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 That's right.
The third is United States of America,
The, Uni-
USA.
the United States of America. That's true.
The fourth it is Australia and
Australia
New Zealand.
and New Zealand. Good. Those are the
New
few.
Zealand.
Yeah, those are the few, and of course Ireland and Australia. Those are the few countries where English language is the mother tongue, or at least an official language. So when you want to go to any of these countries, when you want to migrate to any of these countries for studies, for work, or for tourism, you're expected to take an IELTS test. All right. Okay.
Okay.
Now, the IELTS test structure varies depending on the purpose for which you need the IELTS certificate. Okay. So the test varies depending on the reason for which you need the certificate. For this reason, the structure of an IELTS academic test differs from the structure of an IELTS general test, general training test. Okay. So have you ever heard about IELTS academic and IELTS general training? Have you known that have you ever heard about these terms before?
No, I didn't about the structure of the IELTS academic
Oh,
tests. But
okay.
how
Yes,
can
I'm
you
listening.
explain for me?
Yes, I will come to that right away. I was interested to make sure that you know the difference between an IELTS academic and an IELTS general training test. Because if you want to take a test, you want to be sure that you're not taking an IELTS academic test whereas you're going for work, or you're not taking an IELTS general test when you're going for studies. So you want to make sure that you streamline the type of test you're taking based on the purpose for which you're taking the test. Okay. So
So IELTS academic test is it is for just for study
it's
and
yes,
the
exactly. So as you can see on the screen, uh, the IELTS academic test is taken by people applying for higher education or for some professional registration in an English-speaking environment. Okay. So you probably are going to the UK or to the United States or to Australia or New Zealand or Ireland. You want to go study, then the kind of IELTS test you want to take is the IELTS academic test for students who are going for further studies, advanced studies, higher studies. You probably want to go do your PhD. You probably want to go do your master's program. You want to enroll yourself in a university. Then this is the kind of test that you want to take, right?
Right.
Good.
Right.
And what makes the IELTS academic test different from other IELTS tests is that it reflects some of the features of academic language and assesses whether you are ready to begin studying or training. So with IELTS academic test, they want to find out more about your ability to to do things like construct sentences properly. Okay, they want to make sure if you can identify and make a difference between sentence structures. They want to make sure if you're able to properly make grammatically correct sentences. They want to make sure if you're able to identify the different parts of speech and make good use of them in every speech that you make. You know, English in an exam setting is different from English in our everyday life setting. The way you speak in your bakery with your coworkers, the way you speak in the streets, the way you speak in your home with your family members is different from the way you speak in your classroom with your teacher. It's different from the way you speak
Yes,
in
yes.
exactly. So that's the difference.
It,
That's the specificity with
I
IELTS
have
academic
to
test.
I have to demonstrate more respect for my teacher. It is not like anyway. I have to this you know,
Exactly, exactly. That's correct. I understand you very well.
and I have to be more formal. I
Exactly.
have in it.
Formal language, exactly. Good. And now, for more on the IELTS academic test, the structure or the format of an IELTS academic test is as follows. You have the four skill areas I mentioned earlier, which are the listening, the reading, and the speaking. But as far as this specific academic test structure is concerned, these two skills of reading and writing have focus on academic language. So this is the difference you're going to find between an IELTS academic test and an IELTS general training test. The focus on the IELTS academic test would be on reading and writing, making
And
sure
writing,
that the way you
reading and writing.
exactly, they want to make sure that the way you read and write respects some of the criteria and characteristics of academic language settings. How you construct your sentences, how you phrase your words, the way you pronounce them, punctuation marks, and all of that. So those are the specificities with the IELTS academic test. Okay. And now we go to the next type of IELTS exam, which is the
IELTS
IELTS
general.
good, the IELTS general test, which focuses on the the IELTS general training test is basically taken by people who are going to English speaking countries for secondary education. And they go there for work purposes or training programs. So probably if you're going to leave Brazil to go to the UK, then you want to make sure that you're taking the IELTS general test because you're going to work. But if you're going for studies, you don't want to take this. If you're going for higher studies, then you don't want to take this test. You want to take the IELTS academic test. And this test focuses more on basic survival skills in a broad social and workplace context. So, um, just as is the case with the the IELTS academic test, the focus with the IELTS general test is on reading and writing, and the focus is on basic survival skills on everyday broad social and workplace context. So, for example, in the IELTS general training test, they want to find out if you appeared on a street in London and maybe you went missing in the street. Okay, they want to find out if you are able to ask questions to people in the street so you can make up your way back home. They want to find out if you can survive in a place like in the streets where you know nobody, and the only thing you have is your language, your words to be able to speak with people unknown to you so they can direct you to the places where you want to be.
So I need to ask to someone, where is the market? Where is the bank?
Exactly,
Yes.
exactly. Or probably you book a hotel room and then you get into the hotel, you want to talk to the receptionist. You should be able to know the kind of appropriate language to use in such a context. How do you talk to somebody in a hotel? How do you talk to a police officer? How do you talk to somebody in a shop where you go to buy? Those kind of things. So the general trading test focuses more on those kind of broad social and workplace contexts. Or probably you have a new job. How do you relate or interact with your new colleagues? How do you relate or interact with your new boss? Those are the kind of things that the IELTS general training test seeks to find out if you have the aptitude to survive in such an environment. Is that okay?
Okay.
Good,
Okay.
good. So, uh, the other day we were talking about scoring.
The grade.
Yeah,
The
your
grade.
grades. Exactly. Your grades are good. The ones you shared with me, they are good. And I can see that you speak very well. You have a very good
Uh, am
ability
I?
in your speaking. Yeah, you can improve. You can do better. But for now, it's acceptable. You can survive in London. I can tell you that.
Oh, thank you very much,
You're
teacher.
welcome. All right. So, I scores are reported as band scores on a scale from 1 to 9, where 1 is the lowest and 9 is the highest. So if
Yes,
you're gonna
the
take an
top.
exactly, if you're gonna take an IELTS test, then they're gonna score you on a band score, where if you have 1 out of 9, it is the lowest score and you fail. It's not acceptable for a pass. Okay? But if you have a 9, then it's excellent. You're wonderful. You're almost like a native speaker. Exactly. So that's how it is called. So you will be given a band score from 1 to 9 for each section of the test. And the sections are divided into four. Okay. So you have the listening, the reading,
Listening, reading,
the writing, and
writing,
the speaking. So
speaking.
exactly. For
I think
each
the most complicated it is the speaking and the listening.
yes, the speaking and the listening are those that are a little bit challenging to people who are not native speakers. And that's why it's important that before you take an IELTS test, you do a lot of practice on the listening and the speaking part of it. Because when you go for the orals, they want to get you speak. They want to find out if you're able to pronounce words correctly. They want to find out if your accent is the type that is acceptable. So you're right. The listening and the speaking parts are the most challenging of these four. So you will also be given an overall band score. Okay. After you scored on this separate parts. So for the listening part, you scored on 9. For the reading part, you scored on 9. For the writing part, you scored on 9. And for the speaking part, you scored on 9. And then there is an overall band still on 9 that is taken, which is the average of all the four individual test sections.
But what is the the able score, the accepted score?
Good. The acceptable score is what I'm going to show you in our next slide. Okay. So the the score you get represents your skill level as shown in this table below. Okay. So uh, you have this table here that has band scores to the left and the skill level to the right. So if you have say 0, okay,
Oh,
if you have 0, it
no.
means you did not attempt the test at all. If you have 1, it means you are a non-user, so you don't speak English. That's what it means. If you have 2, it means you are an intermittent user, so you're basically managing yourself. Okay. And then if you have 3 on 9, you are an extremely limited user.
Imitated.
Basically, people who just know how to say good morning, good afternoon, and that's all. If you have 4, then you are a limited user. If you have 5, you are a modest user. If you have 6, you are a competent user. If you have 7, you are a good user. If you have 8, you are a very good user. And if you have 9, you are an expert user. So those are the representations of these core bands that you have and their meanings. And so you just ask the question, what is the acceptable score in an IELTS exam? The acceptable score in an IELTS exam is a minimum of 6.5.
6.5.
6.5 is the minimum pass score.
Like in the middle of the good user and the competent user.
Exactly. That's somewhere between the good user and the competent user. So you should be able to have a minimum of 6.5. If you have 6, you failed. If you have anything below 6.5, you've not passed the exam. But I can assure you that by the time we are done with this preparatory classes on the IELTS test, you should be ready and capable to hit between an 8, 8.5, or 9. So I can assure you that.
Yes.
Do you want to have a 9?
Yes, I am. I
All right,
am. I
all right,
am.
all right. So we're gonna
Are
do
you ready? Yes.
so we're gonna do lots of exercises to get you ready for that. Okay. All right. Now let us zoom in and focus on the listening part. Let's begin with the listening part. I told you I was gonna show you an overview of an overview on the scope of what the IELTS exam is all about.